Hello, and welcome to the show. It's time for another What the Hell News. This is like take 8, so I'm hoping we can get through it this time without interruption. Had everything from phone calls to husbands walking out the door to anything else, so we're going to go power through this time. We're going to start from CNN.com. This happened in Nice, France, in the airport. There was a gentleman that was taking EasyJet, and there was a mechanical delay on the plane, and it'd been like 12 or so hours. So the guy goes up and asks one of the employees around the airport or whatever what's going on, how much longer is it going to be. You know, he's a little bit upset, obviously, but not being rude. And the gentleman that he talked to didn't have answers for him, so he slugged him. Because that's what you do when you don't know the answer. You just hit people. So, yeah. So, then EasyJet comes out and says, oh, it's not our bad because it wasn't our employee. It was a Samsic employee who is, employed by the airport or whatever, and it's not our fault, but we are so sorry, and we're doing what we can. And so, yeah, I mean, to me, this was just one of those things. It's just like, really? The dude's been waiting in line forever, waiting for his plane forever, and he comes to ask a question, and you're just going to suck him in the jaw. I guess. What the hell? And on to the next. This one's from FoxNews.com out of Chandler, Arizona. This gentleman here, Thomas J., was taking out the trash, and he felt a pinch. And he said it was the most excruciating pain he'd ever felt in his life. Apparently he got bit or stung or something by something that looked like a cross between a scorpion and a spider, which they're both in the arachnid family, but I'm curious what a scorpion spider hybrid would look like. But apparently his arm didn't do that until a couple hours later, and you can see there on the screen with all the bruising and stuff. So he was bounced around to different hospitals until they could try to figure out what was going on with him. He had to have a biopsy done and all this stuff, so now he has about $10,000 worth of medical bills to try to get his arm better. So they started a GoFundMe page, and they said anything over the $10,000 that they get will go to research for other people in the situation. So I don't know how you research an animal you don't know exists, but it's a good thought. It's nice. At least he's not going to take extra money and run with it. He's going to do something good with it. But yeah, it looks pretty bad. He says extremely, extremely painful and just crazy. And to me, it's kind of crazy that there's a half spider, half scorpion thing running around biting people or stinging them or whatever. I wonder if it was like a fuzzy scorpion. Maybe that's why he thought it looked like I don't know. Anyway, I digress. So this week's What the Hell News, I only have 4 stories, but that's because the next 2 are a little bit longer and kind of involved. So, and they were things that I really wanted to report on. So, here we go. Alright, this next one is from Leawood, Kansas. And I found it on the Sun Sentinel. The actual incident happened in 2012. But it's being brought up again now because they went to an appellate court and was told they could move forward with their case because it was originally shut down. So we'll start at the beginning. Back in 1997, Sergeant James Wingo of the Missouri State Highway Patrol created this sting operation called Operation Constant Gardener. They had noticed that when they were doing grow house raids that there was a lot of hydroponics. So they decided that they were going to stake out the hydroponic stores and take down license plate numbers of everybody that visited, because as we all know, you can't grow anything but pot hydroponically, because that's how it works. So he did this for a while, collected a bunch of names and license plates by staking out these different hydroponic stores. He created a database with it, split the database up into each agency's area or whatever, because he was going all over the state, I guess. So he sent out an email to the various places with their list of horrible hydroponic growers. So they do 2 weeks of investigation that time, and they were fairly successful. They had 30 agencies participate, and they got 52 grow houses out of that. So they kind of let it go, and then for a while, but still continued to take license plates and stuff like that. And in 2012, they wanted to do another round. Johnson County Sheriff Sergeant Thomas Redding wanted to do another round of it, but Wingo said he didn't have enough names, but he would give Redding what names he had. So Redding takes those names, sets up, and decides to do the sting or raid or whatever on 4/20/12. And if any of you are watching this, I'm sure you know why they picked 4/20 when they're doing grow house raids. So they found this one particular house they were looking at, and in the house lives a 51-year-old gentleman, his wife, his 2 kids, a seventh grader and a kindergartner. And they had done 3 trash pulls prior to this raid that happened on 4/20/12. So about 7:38 in the morning is what the police report says. The gentleman, Mr. Hart, whose house it is, says he thought it was sooner, but they're only squabbling about 18 minutes worth. So, I mean, I don't know if that's really worth squabbling about in the long grand scheme of things, but, So, he wakes up at 7:20 in the morning and is getting ready to get the kids up and ready for school. He hears this pounding on the door. He walks up to the door. There's like a little glass window pane. He looks out, and there's like officers all on his porch. So he opens the door. There's 7 officers standing there with AR-15s and a battering ram, yelling, "Where are the kids? Where are the kids?" So they come in the house. The wife brings the kids down. As soon as the son gets down the stairs and sees all the cops with the ARs pointed, he throws his hands up in the air. They're escorted to the couch. They sit down on the couch, and the police proceed to search their entire house. I mean, top to bottom, completely. And so, while they're all sitting there. Now, we're going to pause at that point. I'm going to back up a little bit. Mr. Hart is a stay-at-home father. The wife goes out and works, and he homeschools the kids and thought that it would be a neat teaching experiment to hydroponically grow some tomatoes. So he went to the hydroponic store to get said equipment to grow tomatoes with his son. Fast forward back to our pause point. So the family is sitting there. They search the whole house, top to bottom, end to end. They don't find anything. They find absolutely nothing except 2 hydroponic tubes with 1 dead tomato in it and some tea leaves. So apparently what had happened was when they did the trash pulls, they found globs of herbaceous matter and field tested it. 2 out of the 3 of them came back positive for marijuana. However, they did not send out, once it's a field test positive, it's supposed to be sent to a lab to corroborate, because the field tests are not as in-depth and, can be triggered by other things, obviously. So they're all sitting there. So they're sitting there on the couch. They've been raided. They didn't find anything but the tea leaves. And then the cops find out that the gentleman and his wife are ex-CIA officers. So they have now just raided ex-CIA officers' home on a pot charge based on growing hydroponic tomatoes and some goopy loose leaf tea in the trash. Now that's some crazy shit right there, according to me. Apparently the kids suffered a little bit of distress from it, and it was, kind of rough for them. They went to a federal judge. They filed a federal case against the Johnson County Department for illegal search and seizure, which I don't think they seized anything, but illegal search for sure. And a federal judge threw it out. So now they just went through, like I said, just went through the appellate court and were told that they could move forward with this. And yeah, so I mean, that's kind of the long and short of this. It was a little bit involved. That's why I didn't want to do an extra story, and the next one's a little bit involved too. But what about this crap? So you go in, you buy hydroponic supplies for a science experiment. And what I can't get over is, when they got these names, did they not run some kind of check on them? Did they not, I don't know, do more than just pull their trash? Because these are ex-CIA officers. I mean, not that ex-CIA officers are exempt from growing weed, but, not quite as likely. And even if they are, they're probably not going to get arrested for it. So either way, I kind of hope everything goes through and the sheriff's department gets a slap on the wrist, at least, because, they were pretty sloppy in doing their due diligence. They didn't do what they were supposed to. So what the hell, Johnson County Sheriff's Department? What the hell? So, and the one thing, it's glaring at the screen at me, when they first brought them in, they didn't tell them they were looking for pot. They said they were looking for a narcotic. I don't know when pot became a narcotic, but apparently in Johnson County, Missouri, it is. So, yeah. And then this next one from the Washington Post. It's bittersweet story. This is former medic James McLaughlin, I'm going to go with. He served in the Vietnam War. He went through 48 hours of intense battle at, and I know I'm probably going to pronounce it wrong, but it's something KY, Tam Kai. So what he did was pretty amazing. He risked his life to save multiple people. He would run in, and I don't know how many of you know, but most of the time, if I'm not mistaken, medics only carry a pistol. They don't have the guns because it would be cumbersome for them to carry that and their medical supplies. So he did so much stuff. He carried one gentleman took some shrapnel or hurt his knee coming out of the helicopter, and when they rappelled out, and he got to kind of the front lines, and so, but his knee was so swollen he couldn't continue on. So this gentleman here, Mr. James, he put the guy over his shoulder in a fireman's hold and carried him out of there, dodging bullets the whole time to get him to safety. He also crawled through a field with a light to try to be able to signal the helicopters to get the rest of his guys some more bullets, or some more ammunition. There was 2 medics originally, and the first one passed away during one of the battles, one of the early battles. And the thing about this is he didn't even volunteer. He was drafted, and he said he felt that his country asked him to serve, so he was going to serve his country and his brothers in arms the best he could. And he did. I mean, he did some crazy good stuff. There was only 32 of them that fought all the way through that battle. They held their ground against 2,000 enemy troops. I mean, that's just amazing. I know it happens, but I mean, that's some serious fortitude there. That is some serious, love of man and country. He was with Charlie Company, 3rd Battalion, 21st Infantry Regiment. The other medic, Dan Shea, was killed during the same operation while he was carrying a wounded soldier to safety. And Shea was recognized posthumously in 1971 with a medal. This is the guys here when they were in Vietnam. He was 23 years old when he went out, when he went in. He said he didn't know. He had so many near-death encounters that it's just, he didn't even know how many there were. But at least 9 times he risked his life to save wounded or stranded comrades and prevent the much larger North Vietnamese force from overrunning them, because they were severely I don't want to say understaffed, but they didn't have enough people, and 32 against 2,000, and they still managed to hold them off. And here's where they're talking about he crawled through a rice paddy with steel rain, which is the bullets, so that he could go get their ammunition and stuff. It's just an absolutely amazing story. It's just, it's one of those things that I think our vets aren't recognized enough for the shit they go through, and it changes you and it makes you different, and it can really mess with your head and we've got so many vets now coming home with so many PTSD, TBI, brain injury type stuff, and that, not to even to mention the physical injury. But back to James here, he got out of the military and went on to be a high school teacher. He retired from that. Originally they had put him in for the Medal of Honor, was it the Medal of Honor? There he is again. That's him. Handsome dude. Yeah, it's so sad. He caught Shea, who was killed. He got him and took him back. And he just kept going out to get guys. He took some wounds from small arms fire and shrapnel, but because he was the only medic, he wouldn't leave. And it's just amazing. This guy here, he encountered the dude that was shot in the stomach, patched him up, carried him like a baby into a nearby trench where he would be safe. And the guy, I believe, ended up living. And the machine gunner had been shot through the shoulder. He did his job for sure, but he went above and beyond. It's insane. That's the kind of heroics. Being a hero is when you're scared shitless and you do it anyway. And you do it for something bigger than you, and that's what he did, and that's amazing to me, which is why I wanted to take this time to recognize him in my own little way, because, you know, you don't, so many of our vets are forgotten and undercared for and so much, but, you know, when you see something like this, he originally got a Bronze Star for it, and then President Obama signed the papers so that he would be eligible for the Medal of Honor, because usually the Medal of Honor is awarded within 5 years of the battle date, but Obama signed something to get that changed for him right as he was leaving office, and then Trump was able to actually give him the Medal of Honor that he so rightly deserved. He had many of his former friends and buddies that he served with that standed there, and, you know, he didn't talk through the whole ceremony, but when President Trump, you know, mentioned his guys, he gave him a crisp salute. And I'm sorry, it makes me tear up a little bit, and I've got goosebumps everywhere, just because he did so much. And, you know, that piece of metal and ribbon, it probably means a lot to him, that he's, you know, I mean, you don't do it for recognition, but at the same time, shouldn't we recognize those who are extraordinary? Because I can't think of any other word to describe this man other than extraordinary. And there are so many of our vets that fall into that category, you know, that just go above and beyond and do everything they can, and you know, some of them pay the ultimate sacrifice, and it's unfortunate that the wars that are fought are what they are. So, but I'm going to end this on a good note and say congratulations, James. You well deserve your Medal of Honor. I hope you all enjoy what I'm doing here. If you do, click on the like. If you're feeling froggy, go ahead and share. And if you're new here or haven't done it yet, go ahead and click on that subscribe button. I'd love to have you stay with me and enjoy some more stuff I've got put out. As always, keep spreading truth, love, and light. I love y'all. I'll catch you on the flip.